this song that goes like pale 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 pale. So So it was October 4th, 2018. Before 1 a.m. That day, my flight actually landed, and Nena started to exist that day. That was the first time that my eyes saw Indian land, and the air, I remember, it was hot and dusty, like it was just now. I was tired, and I was a little sick after flying so many hours. And even though I was not feeling too well, I could not contain my excitement. I was in India, finally, after so long of planning. And for you to understand why this was so important, I have to take you back a couple of years. Because it may sound familiar, but it's not like the typical Indian story. Even though I said it tastes like Thai, it's very different. The name my parents gave me originally is Sheryl. Sheryl, not Sheryl, not Sheryl, it's Sheryl. I was born in a small country that is called Costa Rica. It's located in Central America. It's very far away from here, oceans away from here. It's beautiful and small. We're only 5 million people. So like only Delhi, it's already way bigger than actually Costa Rica. You may wonder how someone from such a small place ended up here, so far away from home. But when you hear my story, you will realize that for me, India is also home. Worldwide, India is known for spices, for Hinduism, and for yoga. Also for the growing population of engineers around the world. At least half of the engineers that the population has, it's from India. But actually, I didn't get to know India for any of those reasons. In my case, it was something way more simple. It was because of a song, just a song. Sometimes the most simple things in life, I think, are the ones that ended up being more meaningful. So, the year was 2013, and this is not even like the best Indian song, but I am a curious child, and I thought that the song sounded very fun and, I don't know, happy. And who can resist happiness, right? So if you're Indian, and especially like if you are from a Punjabi family background, probably you know like this song that goes like pale 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 pale. So it's like ach phir kitte chaliye morni banke no. Let me continue with the story. So now I know, obviously, what the song says, even though I'm not fluent in Punjabi and I just know a little bit of Hindi. Obviously, now I know what the song is about. But back then, I didn't have any clue. And actually, I had two major setbacks regarding this song. So the first one was that I didn't hear the full song the first time. It was just a bit. And it was in YouTuber videos. Like, it was just like background music. Like, she was trying to explain something. I think it was regarding interracial dating. I don't even remember. So I didn't even have a full sentence to look for the song. And the other problem that I had is that I actually thought that the song was in Hindi, because back then I didn't know much about India. And 8 years ago, I didn't know that clearly Hindi was not the only language in India. And I know terribly wrong. But the thing is, see, in my continent, the majority of countries have basically only one language. Like United States only has English. In my country, we only speak Spanish. Like in Brazil, they only speak Portuguese. So for me, it made sense that in India, it was only Hindi. So God knows how many times I opened up my computer. Google and YouTube became my best friends. And I would type random things trying to find the song, like Google opens and YouTube opens. Bale Bale, Hindi song. or Indian songs. Or instead of morning, I would try morning Indian song. I was obsessed. I needed to know what the song was about. I put up in my mind, I need to know what this song is. Maybe it's about a party. Maybe it's about a family. Maybe it's about a girl. I didn't know. I wanted to know. So After 1 month, okay, sorry. So after 1 month, by the time I finally found the song, YouTube was already showing me like a lot of song suggestions regarding Indian music. And until one day I actually fell into the trap and clicked on one, and it ended up being a soundtrack of a movie. Back then I didn't know it was the soundtrack of a movie. I just thought it was like a random record of some Indian singer. But later on I found out, because when I started to look for the translation of the songs that I was listening to, then I realized that it was a movie. And so, like, the main song out of the soundtrack that I remember caught my attention says something like Chaya hai ye kaisa nasha tu na jaane hal mera. So now you know that the first movie that I ever watched was Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. And so at the end of it, I was really confused. Like, I had so many questions. I was not sure if it was like the worst movie ever or just a masterpiece, because this was my first Indian movie. And also I had questions like why the guy, was like an asshole in the whole movie, and a bad student ended up with the hot chick at the end. And then another question that I had, and mainly, why they didn't kiss at the end? Like, from where I am from, we grow up watching, obviously, people way more than kissing on the movies. Now, like, this was way back then. Like, now, when I watch Western movies, it's very different. Now I'm like, oh my God, why are they showing us so much private business? Like, it was different now. But anyway, I got lost. Okay. So obviously that was back then. Now everything has changed. Coming back to the song and the movie, another setback that I had is that I didn't know a lot of the cultural meanings and gestures that there was in the movie. And I realized that I didn't really know anything about India in that moment, like after watching the movie. And so I got right on it, and I spent time researching and learning, like, from weather to food and culture and religion, especially religion. So I remember the first time that I read about Hinduism and their deities, and I was very confused. So I was reading, and basically Vishnu was Krishna, but also he was Ram, and let me finish, and he was married to Lakshmi, who also was Radha. But that's not the worst part. So he also, like, in another time, was married to Sita, and she decided to burn herself to teach us a lesson. And also, like, this guy whose name was Shiv and was powerful and beautiful and naive decided just to tear up his son's head and replaced it with an elephant, like right in front of his house. And don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing Hinduism at all. I love Hinduism, and I have learned many things through the stories, and also I know, like, the core of it, as the majority of religions, is great and it has great value. But this was the first time that I was reading these things. I was only 19 back at the time, and I was just scared, and I had a puzzle in my head because I could not understand how these stories, could have happened. I was just in shock, I guess. The more I read about India, like, the least I felt I knew. And it was magical. It was so diverse, and there were so many things to learn that being in the other side of the world was just not enough, and was not working. So I really soon decided and made a promise to myself, and I said, I am going to go to India someday, and maybe now I'm a student and I am too broke to travel, but I will go someday, and I committed to that. And I bought Indian accessories and clothes and a lot of pindis, of course. And then everybody in my college, they knew that I was like the Indian wannabe girl from Costa Rica, and they thought it was hilarious. My mother didn't take it so well, especially not when I told her that after my undergrad, my plan was not to continue with my master's, but actually like to come here and just travel for a couple of months. And I have to emphasize the fact that even though my mom is Christian and is from the other side of the world, she's no different than an Indian auntie. And trust me, I had to come here. I have to come here to the other side of the globe to actually realize that I basically had grown up in a conservative Indian family. We were just like wrongly located, like a couple. Just a couple of continents aside, just a couple of continents off, but God doesn't make mistakes, I know. And it took me 6 years, 3 years after I graduated from college. And then I made it on an early morning of October 4th of 2018, and that day Nena was born. And I actually chose that name early on, probably like after my third or fourth Bollywood movie, because I realized that it seemed like to be a very common name. And I also like the idea of the eyes. See, like Nena in Spanish only means like girl, but eyes, you can get to know like a lot about a person like from their eyes. There are some eyes that are very shy, there are other ones that are very deep, other ones that just like make you scared from the first moment you see them, like just once and they're like, you're scared, I better stay away. And I made a list, I made a plan, and I dreamt about going to Banaras and wearing a sari at a party one day, and many things like getting inside a temple or going to the Malayalis land of God's own country. And I had 5 most important things on top of my list. All of them have already been done, thankfully. First one was to go to a Punjabi wedding. Second one.
You're still alive.
And then I'm still alive, exactly. I made it through that. The second one was to visit Mumbai as a tribute to the first movie that I watched. The third thing was to see the Shiv statue that is in Rishikesh. Then I am missing something. Yes, and then the other ones was to celebrate Holi and Diwali here, and I already did both of those as well. If I promised myself that if I could find a random song, which was almost impossible because I didn't have like any clue about what it was about or had a full sentence, I promised myself that I would find the means and the courage to make my dream come true. And now my days are flavored with chai and masala, and every new day it's like a chai flavored story that started one day with just one song and the firm decision to explore a new world, and that was my choice. I don't know which one is yours. I can tell you that it's not easy, but it's possible. So you can accomplish your goals if you actually commit to them. Now, like, my story has the flavor of chai, and you can choose whatever you want. But there are too many flavors in the world to at least not try. Thank you.